This will be our video about transversals. The first thing I need you to do is set up a foldable with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tabs. Go ahead and pause this video until you've done so. Make sure to also include these images that I've included on all 6. Hopefully you have made this foldable. If not, again, pause your video and do that really quickly. I am going to go ahead and move on. Today we are talking about transversals. Looking at this image right here, there are a couple of key things we need to know to have a transversal. First of all, these two lines are parallel. They will never touch. This line right here is what we call the transversal. Looking at this first one, we can identify 2 angles on the transversal. These angles are in the exact same spot on the different parallel lines. These are called corresponding angles. What I want you to do is open up your flap and write corresponding angles. So we have these corresponding angles. Okay, they are congruent to one another. So on the back of your flap, make sure you write congruent. Okay, corresponding angles are congruent. This is what they look like. The next angle we will be reviewing, looking here, is going to be called alternate exterior angles. Alternate means that they will be on opposite sides of this transversal. Exterior means they will be on the outside of the parallel lines. Feel free to write that somewhere. So I'm going to open my flap. I'm going to write alternate exterior angles. Looking at those 2 angles, I want you to take a moment and decide, do you think those are congruent or not? If you said that they were congruent, congratulations, you are brilliant and you were correct. Alternate exterior angles are congruent to one another. The next type of angle we will be looking at is going to be alternate interior angles. So once again, alternate means they are on opposite sides of that transversal. Interior means they are inside those parallel lines. So we are going to go ahead, we're going to open up our flap. We are going to write alternate interior angles. Looking at those alternate interior angles, do you think they are congruent? Take a moment to think about it. If you said they were, you are correct. They are, in fact, congruent to one another. Alternate interior angles, alternate exterior angles, and corresponding angles are all congruent to one another. All right, looking at our next transversal, this time I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to identify these 2 angles. Think for a moment, what do you think those will be named? They are on the same side of the transversal and they are outside the parallel lines. If you said same side interior angles, you are correct. Oh, I am so dumb. Please ignore me. I don't want to reshoot this video. Same side exterior angles. So you have those angles that are on the same side of the transversal. They are on the exterior or outside, unlike my brain decided when I was writing. Looking at them, they do not look like they are congruent. That is because they are not. However, they are supplementary to one another. Remember, supplementary means that they add up to 180 degrees. Our next transversal we are going to look at is going to be this one right here. We are going to look at these angles that are on the same side of the transversal and on the inside of those parallel lines. I'm assuming by now you can probably figure out their names, partially because I just said it on the last one. These will be called same side interior angles. Once again, they are on the same side of the transversal and they are on the inside of those parallel lines. Looking at these, they are not congruent, they are supplementary. And finally, the last transversal that we have here is going to be filled with something I'm sure you're all familiar with. Looking at those two angles right there, you'll notice there are two lines crossing. You're looking at the angles across from one another. You should know the name for this, but in case you don't, those are vertical angles. Vertical angles, as we already know, are in fact congruent. So you should have this whole foldable done. It will go on page 15 of your interactive notebooks. Make sure to leave room for more notes, and I'm sorry that I'm not great at these videos yet.